All of you are utterly crazy. We thought we had seen everything, but then we saw new receipts that might shake up the love and hip-hop scene. The unhealthy relationship between Chrissy Lampin and me was exposed. Let's now examine the real activities that go on behind the scenes. Why is Yandy so enamored with it when we have the proof? We're talking about leaked communications, confidential meetings, and scandal rumors. What brought these two into this intricate web of chaos, treachery, and drama? Even the most dedicated fans are taken aback by this link since it is so gloomy. Was it a prepared treachery or was it the final straw? I guarantee that after watching this movie, you will no longer have the same perspective on Chrissy and me, so you had better grab some popcorn. Click like again because you won't believe what we found when we dug into this complicated, jaw-dropping scandal. Now, hold on tight because things are going to become a lot nastier. Chrissy Lampkin is the no-nonsense, straightforward person, as everyone knows. Even though I've changed, I'm constantly caught up in drama. However, what if I told you that Chrissy and Mendeecees have a lot more history than they're disclosing? What if I told you that there is evidence that connects them? Queen of hip-hop and love, in unexpected ways, and let's just say it's not pleasant together. First of all, how did Chrissy and Mendeecees get to know each other? To be honest, they had never truly come into contact on camera in such a way. However, an alternative narrative is available in the we were talking about late-night business dealings, mutual associates, and let's just say, favors being traded when Yandy Smith was moving in circles too close to Chrissy's world the day before Mendeecees even connected with him. Remember when Jim Jones and Chrissy were dealing? There were rumors that during all that financial turmoil, money was being transferred in ways that weren't totally lawful. According to sources, can you guess who was responsible for removing those transactions? M is himself, indeed. To exacerbate the situation, Chrissy and Jim had a roller coaster of romance. Huh? He turned around and avoided marriage for over a decade after we witnessed her pop the question on national television. What if I told you, though, that Jim wasn't being himself? But what if Jim was telling jokes for another reason? This scenario is likely to become out of control, which is why you're all following me. The reason is that there is a certain individual who has a history of sneaking where he shouldn't be. Rumor has it that Chrissy and M's relationship is more than just financial, but we have other sources stating that there were rumors of the two engaging in quite questionable activities, late-night meetings, and low-key meetings. I don't want to generate rumors, but that's exactly what we're here to do. So find a close friend or relative who can provide you with an anonymous source. Guys, it's clear that you all know where this is going. Guess who was spotted slinking into and out of Chrissy's old condo during the weeks that Jim Jones was out of town? Jim Jones recently disclosed some shocking details about that time. You guys reply, oh, maybe he was just handling business. Could you maybe explain why these meetings were happening at such late hours and why nobody was meant to know about them? Listen, when it comes to my company, let's talk about these purported commercial transactions. Always, if you understand, got a little too involved, and the most ridiculous thing was when Yandy realized this, she went crazy. Even Yandy, who is a determined woman who will do anything to keep her boyfriend safe, was unable to ignore the warning signs when this happened, as you all know. Started spreading reports that Yandy confronted me about his relationship with Chrissy, and let's say that the situation did not go well. She started bringing out what he thought were secret receipts and asked him questions he couldn't answer. As she dug deeper the more. Because men in Washington, D.C. don't explicitly deny anything, things weren't adding up, and this is where things get interesting. Oh no, instead he employed the archaic, why are you bringing up old stuff? Strategy, informing Yandy that people weren't just talking about it, and that she was in a stupor. However, he aired when Yandy inquired about those late-night visits and the exact times of several transactions. He simply remained very quiet instead of telling her she was wrong. And if there's one thing we all know about men who get quiet under pressure, it's that suggests that there is a problem. Don't forget that Yandy and Chrissy have been at odds for years. Yandy has been called nasty, unpleasant, and even accused of trying to influence Jim's career by Chrissy, who has made it clear that she doesn't like her, and Shady might have been pushed behind her back by Mies. That's right, Yandy was ready to go off, and she did. But rather than let things go, she pulled up with the vigor of all the receipts and smoke. Our understanding is that Chrissy wasn't. Imagine that a private gathering with a select guest list has cameras rolling. Knowing that even if I have something for you, Yandy's calm approach to the room is risky. So she asks Chrissy, "How long are you going to stay?" while looking her in the eye. Been playing with my husband and child, and Chrissy was shocked by the profound silence in that place. Yandy wouldn't have it when she tried to dismiss it by saying that Yandy was overdoing it. She extracted screen captures of transactions and messages that seemed way too comfortable for business, and when Chrissy tried to brush it off, Yandy spoke the truth. "I have someone who saw you two together, and they're ready to talk to you." That's the conclusion of part 1. Yes, but trust me, things only get stranger from here. Oh, the second part, we're delving even farther into. The woman seemed completely unprepared, even though she was always 10 steps ahead and had a retort ready. Since this issue is still in its early stages, Yandy's insanity remained locked in because she was not playing and had screenshots and timestamps. It was Chrissy's first time freezing. Finally, someone who has seen it all personally is aware of Chrissy's transformation when she finds herself in a difficult situation. What does she do since folding is difficult for her? As if the whole thing were a joke, she laughs in Yandy's face. "Girl, you must be really bored," she said, "to be making up such tales." But see that Yandy isn't recoiling. The room went still as she pulled out her phone, tapped the screen, and said, "Before you start laughing too much, you might want to hear what this person has to say." That's when the real chaos started. For a little while, Chrissy's attitude changed, but Yandy noticed the anxiety, and that was all Yandy needed. Now, let's talk about this mystery witness, their identity, and how they discovered Chrissy and M's purported business. But this is where things become more difficult. The person in question is none other than Dre, M's old partner, who used to handle some of his transactions. Dre knew Mies, whom he met, and his methods because he had been with him for years. Shifted his funds, and more importantly, the people he spent time with outside of Yandy. Dre had receipts, you guessed it, since Chrissy was still trying to look indifferent and was drinking as though Yandy hadn't said anything. Let's take a time to look at this. Was important. However, the room fell dead as Yandy hit play on the voice recording because it was so clear that Dre was talking about how he personally drove me to Chrissy's place multiple times. "I keep this low-key. I don't need any extra eyes on me," Hellman D would say to him. Right now, Chrissy's expression went from smug to stone, and the tension in the room was so great that you could cut it with a knife. Dre told me up front that he kept returning because Chrissy had something on him. Yandy was loving this, despite the cold. "You want to keep laughing now, or should I keep going?" she asked, leaning in. Chrissy erupted, hurried to her feet, filled her drinks, and walked straight into Yandy's face while gesturing at her as though she were ready to throw her hands. "It's embarrassing that I think I had to justify myself to you over a fake video of you talking to Yandy. But here's the thing. Yandy wasn't just talking, she had evidence. A text thread that had been forwarded from an unknown source was shown by her. The language was questionable, but the link between Chrissy and Mies wasn't really romantic. For instance, Mies says, "Are you sure everything is good? No one is asking questions." Chrissy said, "No, you know I got this. Just keep handling what you need to handle. You're not concerned about anything as long as you maintain your end tight. Tell me he think it's just business." Additionally, keep in mind that Isis and Jim Jones were never cool like that. So why was I taking care of anything for Chrissy unless there was more involved? Chrissy became enraged at this point and shook her head at the crowd, acting as though Yandy was crazy. You people genuinely believe this nonsense to be true, but guess what? Not everyone was supporting her. Some were murmuring, some were laughing at her, and so on. It was Yandy who dealt Chrissy the final blow. Why do you appear so uneasy at the moment if it's all lies? Chrissy was done in a flash. Rolling her eyes, she snatched up her purse and walked out. You are all aware of what transpired subsequently. After videos of the altercation were leaked, the internet went berserk, and within hours, blogs and Twitter were discussing it. Since he didn't try, he didn't refute it, and he didn't provide an answer. People started to really question whether this was true. He stayed mute to protect his reputation after Yandy finished reprimanding him, and she took her kids out of the house. Mendeecees loves to defend himself if we know anything about him. So why didn't he say something now, unless he realized he couldn't? This is not a minor disagreement because if Yandy's claims were true, M had been lying to her for years. Additionally, Chrissy has been behaving cunningly the entire time, and let's not overlook the most crucial query of all. Sources stopped answering his phone. So what exactly does Chrissy have on Mendeecees, who is still behaving according to her rules? My friends were the part that shocked everyone, Dre said, referring to Mendeecees telling him she had something on him. Why has Jim remained silent? Everyone, this is just the tip of the iceberg. It goes much deeper, I promise, and we're going all the way there in part 3. This story is far from over, so be sure to check back soon for part 3. Believe me, if you felt that the first 2 were sufficient, we're going to be dissecting exactly what Chrissy has over the months and why he might never be able to exit whatever agreement they're in, so you're not ready for what's going to come next. Some parts were crazy. This is being consumed by the internet, as you well know, so let's begin. She flooded the room so fast after the incident with Yandy Chrissy that you would think she was being followed, and I'm still silent. You are aware of how social media operates. If you don't protect yourself, people will start fabricating stories about you. At first, there was a hypothesis that Chrissy and I might have been involved in a romantic connection before Jim and before Yandy, or that we had a former relationship that Yandy was not aware of. However, as further information emerged, that notion was swiftly refuted. The entire tale was changed by the facts disclosed by a supposed insider who claimed to have years of experience in the sector. They stated as follows: Mendeecees allegedly carried out some activities in the past that weren't completely lawful, as we are all aware, but it seems that there's more to the issue than we first thought because this insider claims that Chrissy was actually related to some of the same people that M was interacting with. She also participated as an outsider. Let's pause to think about how the whole issue significantly changes if that is the case. It is about Chrissy having real legal power, not simply about secret meetings and stealthy texts. Since he's over men, he can't end their relationship since if he does, she might start talking to him. That is beyond the means of Mendeecees. This is a strange portion, so let's go back a bit. Evidently, prior to Mendeecees' imprisonment in the early 2000s, he and the way Chrissy and I met was unexpected. Chrissy has always been involved in illicit activity, as you may remember. She used to associate with some powerful people, and rumors have it that she was a little too familiar with their antics, including messes. Chrissy recalled, and more importantly, she kept receipts because, according to the so-called insider, Chrissy had information that may put him in danger. When he was first locked up, he probably thought he was leaving all of that behind. People started assembling the evidence and found that Chrissy has used this before, which is why he will never be able to truly leave her. She seems to always remind him that he owes her. Your head will spin after reading this. Encircled by a number of the most prominent hip-hop musicians, let's just say that she knew things that people didn't want to know, which is why she was able to affect them the way she did. Didn't want to confront her since they knew she would start talking. Things become even more confusing now that it seems like Mendeecees is just another victim of her web because Jim Jones hasn't said anything, tweeted anything, or made any statements as you may have seen. Why is Jim suddenly behaving as if he is unaware of what is taking place? According to others, he was aware of Chrissy and M's arrangement before, and he could prefer not to smoke because, ultimately, who is at fault if Chrissy has dirt on me? She had packed her luggage, dipped, and departed with the kids when we last looked. After everything she's been through, is it really fair to blame her? Given everything that is going on, he is remaining mute because she has no dirt on JI too. Let's face it, if Chrissy has been resenting me for years, who's to say that this drama won't finally catch up with him? If the reports are true, then Yandy just escaped the bullet. The damage is already done though. It's already complete, and Yandy might have just saved the world from an even bigger disaster. But the truth is that Chrissy has never had the best reputation, and this only makes the situation worse. He must now address some grave issues. What's stopping Chrissy from telling Mendeecees the truth? Better still, what if she has already? What if the text thread leak was just the beginning? What happens if Chrissy starts talking and leaves M's without anything? Whether you think Chrissy is really against me or whether this is just another case of ugly industry drama, please let me know. I swear that when the next piece of tea is released, we will be here to dissect this story in its entirety. What are you doing if you haven't subscribed yet? This story will only grow wilder, so click that button, turn on your notifications, and prepare yourself. In the upcoming days, I'll see you. Tell me which side you support in the comment section below. Since I know the comment section will be exploding, I must ask what you guys think is going on here. Is Chrissy playing chess while everyone else is playing checkers, or is he truly stuck in a situation from which he is unable to get out? More importantly, what is Yandy going to do next? I wouldn't be surprised if someone soon revealed even more receipts if this story keeps going the way it is. Tell me which side you guys favor by leaving a comment below. Furthermore, please remember, if someone you have to stay up to date with the most explosive, ugly, and well-publicized celebrity controversies. Press the button to get locked in now. Press the subscribe button and please turn on those alerts, as we please believe me when I say that I'm not done yet. An update regarding this it will. As things get even more bizarre, I'll see you all for the next one. Leave it unkempt.